Mix 92.9 Classic Petra, and a song called God Pleaser. 8:21's our time now, 21 minutes after 8 o'clock. Michael W. Smith in the studio with us. You were starting into a story just a little while ago, and I interrupted you because I want the story told. I didn't want to interrupt you in the middle of it. When we had lunch the other day, you told me some stuff that I don't think I really knew before, and in early days, it probably wouldn't have made a whole lot of sense for me to really know a lot of that stuff. But when you first moved to town, you had some problems, right?
Yeah, I was a bit of a mess, actually.
Were you?
Kind of started in 75 and I moved here in 78. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, I was just, I was a mess, and just drugs and just doing all kinds of crazy things, playing an after-hours bar with a band, and
did you moved here for the purpose of music, right?
Music, yeah.
Did you move here for the purpose of Christian music?
Well, I didn't really know what that was. I just knew I wanted to, at some point, make pop music but share my faith.
Right.
But I was in the midst of a crisis,
right.
Trying to write that stuff and then my lifestyle. But you know what? All along, I knew where my heart belonged, and I guess I was a prodigal. But I had a near-death experience with a drug thing that happened one night that scared the you-know-what out of me.
Really?
And that's when I began to realize that if something doesn't change, I could lose my life. Mm-hmm. My mom and dad were praying for me, and they never disowned me, ever kicked me out of the house, and I'd go back home. They knew exactly, don't think they knew all the details, but they knew I was in trouble, but they just loved me unconditionally. And so I began to, and I think it was the prayers of my mom and dad that saved me, honestly. But I began to pray, God, hey, I'm in trouble. And I felt like I was in a pit, and the only way to get out was with a ladder, and there was no ladder. Mm. And as much as I scraped and crawled and tried to get out of there, I couldn't get out. That's how desperate I was. And so I began to pray crazy prayers like, God, get my attention, car wreck, don't kill me, break my legs, don't kill me. Just do something radical so I can get out. And so, long story short, I lost my joy. I've always been a happy guy, love people, optimistic, and all of a sudden I became a very depressed human being, man. And it was just unbelievable. I never wanted to get out of bed, and I just wanted to lay around. I was very, very not very happy at all. And I knew at some point during that was God. And it all came to a head one night in November in my apartment. And then 12:30 at night, I can't remember all the details. All I know is I shook and I convulsed and I wept, and just, it was like, it all just came out. And I really honestly feel like the Lord just came down and laid down on the floor with me. And I've not been the same since that night, 1979.
What happened from that standpoint that changed from a lifestyle standpoint?
Well, I remember the next day I woke up and went, wow, what was that? That was amazing. But then I had this temptation. Oh, I got all my friends who want to go party and whatever. God, okay, how are we going to do this? Yeah, you got to walk with me. Like, what's my next step? And I went in to see Randy Cox, my publisher.
Yeah, Better Green, yeah.
And Randy said, I want to talk to you. He says, there's this group called Higher Ground, and they're looking for a piano player. And I remember before he could even finish, I went, I'll take the job. I'll take the job. Well, but would you like to meet him? I'll take the job. And I felt like that was a way forward, and
a way out of your situation, yes, out of these patterns that you'd established, exactly, and all that stuff, and to get you into something.
Those guys nurtured me back to health for 8 months.
Wow.
And then I left Higher Ground, signed an exclusive songwriting thing with Betta Green, and started writing songs for Amy. I mean, it was just, and then all this stuff started turning around, writing with Bill and Gloria Gaither, and and then before you know it, I was trying to get a record deal, met Debbie. That's the whole, all that happened.
And that story is incredible in itself.
Crazy. So
yeah, he's working for Paragon Music, right? Mm-hmm. you go to Benson. You need to be telling the story, but you go to the Benson company to I don't know, you're
over
pitching
Metro
your songs
Center.
over at Metro Center, and this gorgeous babe walks through the lobby, as I recall you telling the story, and you finish it from there.
Yeah, I was over there to meet with Bob McKenzie about a record deal.
Yeah,
and had no interest in dating anybody. I mean, I knew I'd get married one day, but my head was into music thing.
Right.
I'm focused.
Right.
And she walked by and we made eye contact, and man, my heart was beating 100 miles an hour. And she walked back by 5 minutes later, and I ran to an office and called my mom in West Virginia. And I'm just talking 100 miles a minute, just raving about this woman. Mom, you're going to love her. She's amazing, and I think she's my soulmate. She's incredible. And then my mom said, "What's her name?" I said, "I don't know, Mom. I don't know. I don't know."
You hadn't even met her yet.
Hadn't even met her. So I found her in the warehouse, and she actually was at the restroom. So I hung out outside the women's restroom. And she walked out, and I introduced myself. And
that's great.
About 4 days later, we went out on our first date. And
Really?
3.5 weeks later, we were engaged. And then
3.5 weeks.
4 months later, we were married.
Michael, you don't recommend.
Don't recommend this.
Okay, but it's
when
worked
I
out.
talk to young people.
Yeah. This is the exception, not
I just
the rule.
thought love at first sight would never happen to me.
Right.
That was not going to be the way it would be for me.
Now, if Debbie were here right now, would she say the same thing, that she saw you and
Yeah, I think she knew that I was sitting in the chair. I think she recognized that.
there was something?
I think she yes.